Okay, so we continue with the next functionality, which is the add functionality. What does the add functionality allows us to do? It allows us to do two things. One, to extend dictionary variables and complete them when they are in the same, when they are defined already in the same file. And it also allows us to extend lists by adding more elements. And again, this is done, for the case of the dictionaries, this is done complementarily. So that means that if I have, for example, a dictionary already defined on that given file, and then I'm defining somewhere in the bottom add to that dictionary, the add dictionary is going to win over, like if there is some repetition of the variables in that add dictionary, it's going to win over the dictionary that has no add. And why do we want that? We could define in the same file exactly, we can define everything under the same dictionary. Well, we can use that for setting up a set of defaults for a standard configuration, for example, for just for the dictionary itself. And then inside choose blocks, we can use the add functionality so that depending on what is our selector case, we can add one thing or another to that particular dictionary. For the case of elements, because elements can have repeated elements, in the case of lists, because elements can have repeated elements, it just adds on the bottom of the list more elements. And then the syntax is basically you add the add behind the dictionary name to which you want to add stuff, and then you add the variable names. And here you don't need, inside the nested part, you don't need any more the adds. You just need your nested variables and their values. And for the lists, you just add the add behind the list and then add the series of elements that you want to add to that list. And that's basically what we've been doing when we were setting add name list changes. What we were saying is that we have here a name list changes that is going to be prioritary over whatever it is on that file hierarchy level. Okay, so I want to ask you, do you understand this complementarily concept? Is someone that here that is not understanding what means merging two dictionaries complementarily? Okay, I assume everyone understands that.
So maybe to clarify, what other option is there than complementary merging? For me, this is the straightforward way. What I would expect if I...
Well, like, let's say...
what the command sounds like, add these things to the dictionary, that's what I would expect.
Mm-hmm. You could, for example, I mean, imagine that the dictionary doesn't have the constraint that you can have more than one key named the same.
Yes.
Then that wouldn't be complementary, right? Because you will be adding the same key twice.
Yes, but then it obviously writes with a higher hierarchy, right? So the...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the add respects the higher hierarchy, and add has a higher hierarchy inside the same, within the same YAML file. It has the same, it has a higher level of hierarchy just than the dictionary itself without the add. But what would it mean non-complementarily? It would mean that we can, for example, add the same variable twice to the dictionary, but that's not possible because the definition of dictionary says you can only have one key. No. But for example, in a list,
yes,
it's not complementary.
Yes,
because you add more elements and you don't care about the elements because the list only refer to indexes like 0, 1, and 1 and 2. So I'm glad that this is kind of natural. Like, okay, I merge in a dictionary, it should be complementarily, and somewhere I should be stating that there is a hierarchy level. This is a use case for the scenario, and we've looked at that before when we were looking at the choose ICP code. And what we are seeing here is that we know that in the FESON YAML, we have a name list changes that contains everything that is always going to be there, like things for changing, like the dates on the name list, selecting the claimant data path, etc., etc. But we have some cases, the ICP code, case true, in which we want to add some stuff to our name list. And that's basically what we are doing here. So we are adding into the name list config a new section. And within this new section, we are adding a set of variables that basically trigger the icebergs on. And this is going to be merged complementarily, but this variable doesn't exist on the template, and that means it's not going to overwrite anything. It's just going to put it there. And that's the use case for this. So the question here is, okay, I know that my model, for example, has some options to turn on icebergs. And I know that it's something done with the name list. So what should I do? Well, if I cannot contact directly, if I can contact her or I cannot contact Lars, who is the person that put together this YAML file, well, this part of the YAML file, you can still go to the FESON YAML file and look for the variables, and then finally see, okay, I have a choose here, and this choose is contemplating this option, so I can just activate this, and then instead of just going into my run script and adding name list changes, add name list changes, and adding the changes yourself, maybe someone has done the work for you already. So always check the configuration files first to see if someone has done the work for you. Okay, let's forget about these recommendations because, yeah, it's a little bit too much and we are running a little bit out of time. But you can start actually the exercise.